In the modern world, technology, especially within the healthcare industry, is evolving very rapidly. New devices and techniques can now allow for locating and tracking of personnel and medical equipment, such as beds, pumps, or medication. From interviews and research over the course of this project, the group was able to identify many practical uses for this type of system. We will show 3 scenarios where tracking and locating assets would be very useful. Here we see a patient in an emergency situation. Unable to do anything else himself, his friend exits the room to notify a nurse. The nurse enters the room, checks the patient, and knows that what's happening is beyond his skill set. The nurse looks around to try and find a doctor. Unfortunately, there do not appear to be any doctors nearby. Thanks to newly developed technology, the nurse is able to use an application on his phone to access the personnel locating system and can quickly locate and notify the doctor of the patient's condition. The doctor is then able to swiftly move to the patient's room and start helping. If necessary, the location data on the application could give the exact floor and room the employee is in. With this locating system, you eliminate time searching for and notifying doctors and personnel, so you are able to provide care to the patient much faster. You would also be able to identify when and where certain doctors are needed more frequently, allowing for more efficient allocation of personnel throughout the hospital. This technology also applies to nurses and any other employee that has a job that can be time sensitive. We now see a nurse tending to his normal duties when he receives a notification on his phone. This notification tells him that a patient from the psychiatric ward has wandered out of the hospital. It tells the nurse where the patient was last located and when the departure occurred. The nurse exits the hospital to retrieve the patient, something possible only because he was notified in real time. Through interviews with hospital staff, it was found that situations like this one do happen. Because of this tracking capability, the nurse is able to quickly and safely bring the patient back inside the hospital, disallowing the patient from putting himself or others in harm's way. Here we see an individual who has injured his leg enter the hospital. A nurse comes to tend to the patient but is unable to find a wheelchair in the immediate vicinity. The nurse pulls out his phone and promptly locates and retrieves the wheelchair for the patient to use. Without the tracking system, the injured person would have to wait a much longer time to be moved and receive treatment.